Welcome to Biz Dev Live. I'm so excited to bring you the amazing, the fabulous Jaime Smith, Business Development Director for Bartha.com. We're going to get into all of it. We're going to get into her story. We're going to talk about digital events today. A lot of exciting content coming at you. Stay with me. We'll be right back after the Biz Dev theme.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
All right. Here we go. So JAIME THERESA SMITH, CMP, is a recovering planner, having served as director of operations with a nonprofit in Indianapolis for 11 years before Bartha stole her away to the dark side. Now, 8 years as a supplier, JAIME has excelled at working with clients to better their production services for their live events as well as their virtual events. Currently serving on the MPI Indiana Board as Director of Recruitment and the Downtown Indianapolis Kiwanis Club Board of Directors. JAIME has achieved things during this pandemic that makes her proud of helping our industry continue to grow. Miss MPI Indiana and Kiwanian of the Year, National Business Development Director at Bartha. JAIME Smith is an avid boater at Lake Monroe, Bloomington, Indiana, from the age of 5 to the present. JAIME loves the theater, ballroom dancing, and being a meeting professional. I know we're going to get into all of that and more. Excellent personality. Thank you, JAIME, for being on the show with me.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I have an intense day, so I suddenly was getting stuck in the middle of my fun, and it's the fun of a live production. So I apologize for doing any injustice to the intro, but I was talking with JAIME before we I don't know how long back now. It's been a while, but she has an amazingly interesting story. But before you get into that, JAIME, talk to us about what you're doing right now, and then we'll kind of get into the backstory.
Absolutely. So right now I work for Bartha, which is an audiovisual production company. Naturally, we would be doing the large conventions and conferences with a lot of AV, creative production elements. And we've all turned digital. So we are working in a virtual world, naturally working with different platforms, with the production elements that go along with it to make it more of a show from a virtual standpoint, and growing to incorporate the hybrid component as we are allowed to. So we're focusing still on production, but then helping educate a lot of planners is truly where we are right now, where we've been all, what has it been, 10 months, 11 months? That's where we are.
It's like 20 years, right? Yeah, absolutely. So why, because, you talked about, in the intro, being a planner, so many different things going on in your life. I know before we jumped on here, we were talking about patience and connecting with people and the importance of these things, and, the focus on growing. Talk to us about why you're passionate about these things. Give us the whole story here.
Absolutely. So let me just start with the fact that I did not grow up with patience. I watch as my nephew is following in my footsteps so eloquently, with very little patience. So constantly growing as a human, as an individual that wants to do better and strive to do better for themselves and others and influence people. So that's where the patience comes in. And I think with COVID and everything that we've been dealing with and will continue to deal with, because it's not going to be over come January 1st, it's a matter of having patience, and it's a matter of growing and getting creative with doing things a little differently. And just as I turned 40 this year, this is the longest year of my life as well. Thanks, Oscar. So yes, we've had an opportunity to reflect and understand that life is short. And, yes, patience is great to have because it helps us understand and slow down a little bit and be a little bit more, giving and graceful with people, and definitely giving on the sense of things are different. things are going to be different. We'll never go back to the new normal. All the terms that everybody is so over, from pivoting to changing the way things are happening. It's a way of going back and trying to remember what you wanted to do before. And I think with my story, it's a matter of just looking at the fact that I have grown, as we all have, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, because you've gone from being a boater and dancer to an event planner, and now on the business development side of the supplier side. So I'm looking forward to this adventure here. Let's go.
Yes. Okay. So I'll even go further back, right? This is where you guys want to know. So my story began with the hope of being an actress and being in the movies and being out in LA in the Hollywood world. And I did major in theater at the University of Indianapolis, and I'm actually grateful for that fact for so many reasons, which I'll get into. But the thing with acting and the thing with the LA life is that, yes, you have to come up with a persona that's, you could be construed as fake, right? You're going into a character that's different, that's not you, that's developed, that's, looking at different things. But when you're off film, I feel like it's a fake situation. And I pride myself on not being fake. I pride myself on not being, as we fast forward, which I'll get to, that car salesman, that salesperson who is just telling you what you want to hear to make it work. I don't thrive on that at all. And I cringe when I see it and hear it. So starting out as a theater major, guess what, guys? I was really good at stage management, which hindsight's 2020 is meeting planning. It's taking all of those elements that you need to coordinate an event and run a day of show. So ironic enough, I was an information systems minor, which got me into my work with Indiana Youth Institute, which is a nonprofit here in Indiana. By the way, I'm in Greenwood, Indiana, working from my home. Another nickname I have is Sunshine in a Room, which is why I didn't go to virtual. I wanted you all to see my yellow walls. But so I actually jumped into the technology side of things, and then kind of fell into the planning side of Indiana's IYI's convention, and things like pulling in signage, working with different vendors, doing different things for the actual convention. And I worked with them for 11 years, and growing from a 300-person conference, half-day conference, to a 3-day conference of 1,500 people. I loved that part of my job. I had so many other hats, because as a nonprofit, you do a lot of things. And being there for 11 years, you're able to do a lot of things very quickly. So I grew to enjoy and truly appreciate the meeting planning side of it, which led me to MPI, which then led me to want to get my CMP, which then led me to just continue to love and appreciate every aspect of the meetings industry. And full circle back, looking back and realizing that I was really good at the stage management in the theater world. And therefore I was really good at planning an event and running it days of. Having that calm demeanor during the day of the convention, where all the fires are happening and people are coming to you, and you're able to just breathe and make it happen. So that's the growth and the patience that I have had in the fire for other things, right? So it's a matter of constantly growing and having that for my personal life or the rest of my professional life. And so when I started with IYI as a planner and grew to getting my CMP and just loving the industry and learning different elements of it, including working with Bartha. So I actually had worked with a local provider in Indiana and knew no different, right? So it was a matter of, oh, we can go to other companies. And this was the growth and learning and getting more information. And you don't know what you don't know until you get to experience it. And so fortunately, I was able to work with Bartha, who helped produce my event for 4 years. And then, as Cameron mentioned, they stole me away to the dark side, as I like to say. And I say that in tongue in cheek, right? It's the dark side because it's the sales side. It's that, oh, let's get the business. Well, the fortunate thing is the way Bartha is, we are ironic enough, turning 75 years old next year. So we've been around the block for a while, and Bartha is a last name. And it started out as a company that helped use the equipment that was there back 75 years ago. So it was definitely different, but grew to have the creative and the production elements that have so eloquently made us who we are up to this year, and moving forward and looking at different ways of getting creative with our clients and doing different things. So when they stole me away to the dark side, as I said, I was able to look at it differently. And ironic enough, I was in denial and said, I'm not sales, I'm business development. I figured out that is sales. However, I have been able for the past 8 years to look at it way differently. Look at it as the relationship building and the connecting and the networking and the building of our brand and working with clients that are clients that we want to work with, right? So it's a matter of who is in it for the right reasons. That's my ultimate goal, is to constantly work with people who want to do better and who want to grow and have the patience and get creative and continue to make things what they are. As Cameron's sharing with you right now, the streaming capabilities, our creative team has been able to, during this COVID timeframe and quarantine and the transitioning to only virtual, which, guys, virtual has been around, streaming has been around. This is not new technology. I remember when it came out, when I was a planner, and we were all worried that it was going to take away from the face-to-face meetings. It didn't, and it's not going to, and people are still going to want to meet again. But our creative team is able to pull this together so that I, as business development, can reach out to planners and help educate them. I mean, yes, we're learning too on how to focus solely on virtual and how to make it even better and constantly grow, which is a great piece to any business. So thankfully, the past year, or as some of us say, the last 4 years within a year, it's been a matter of just, hey, this is our chance to look at the industry in a different light, to get creative, to look at ways of doing it differently. We've been doing all this the same every year, year after year. We do the same old song and dance. We don't change it up too often. Why not? Why wouldn't we want to take this chance to, hey, give it the opportunity to possibly, fall, possibly have some issues, but learn from our mistakes, learn and do better the next time. And, I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to look at who's doing what out there, what's been out there for a while. We're a production company that we don't have our own platform. Now, okay, we can do streaming services. We can work with building websites and all the things that you can do internally. And we've done that, and we do that. But if it's a matter of a client who needs a full production virtual platform, we actually partner with Pathable, which is one of the ones that have been out there for the longest time. And we work with them. We help you set that up. We can technically work with any element that's out there because we're a production company. It's not a matter of us learning it all and taking it all in and changing it up right now. Just like the equipment that we've bought in the past years, we buy what's needed for our clients, and we get creative with our clients and the needs, and then work from there and build up on that. So constantly growing, right? I mean, even outside of my world personally, it's a matter of our company doing the same thing and us just going with it and, stretching the limits a little bit. So I feel like I'm rambling, so I want to make sure.
You're good. And I think one of the important things, and we were talking about this before we jumped on, is the idea that right now there's a lot of people putting out stuff. I don't know what your calendar looks like, but all the Zoom meetings and webinars and learning, and I look at something like LinkedIn Learning. If you have a premium account on LinkedIn and you do some of the LinkedIn learning there, I interviewed this guy, Oz Du Soleil, and I actually discovered him on LinkedIn Learning, but he has a 29,000 person following on YouTube. And the production quality of the LinkedIn videos, I mean, it's just so amazing. And so, same content, not to knock him, but the same content that he was probably putting out on the YouTube channel, when you look at what they were able to do with the LinkedIn content, the lighting, the production aspect of it is just the night and day difference. So if you are a company and you want to make an impact, and now with all these folks working from home, and you want to do training meetings, and you want to put things together that are going to last, right? Because you're going to spend money on it. You would spend money on a training meeting, you'd spend money on a conference, to put something together where either you're having that conference and you're getting the production value there so that you can then take that stuff, and big part of biz dev, just documenting your process and then being able to then take that and hand it to the next person is such a big deal when we talk about business savings and all that. Just the idea of what a meeting costs. You have a weekly meeting with your staff. If there's a way that you cannot talk about something for 5 minutes over the course of 52 weeks because you've been able to record this and have it available on demand and make sure that, a part of a training, this is what you put out because this is the company, such a big cost savings and so worth the production value. I don't want to ignore Oscar here. He says, my new model is do, review, and fall forward. And I absolutely agree. I mean, I think that's what 2020 has definitely been all about. So, I mean, and forgive me if you said it in there, I was listening, but I'm still trying to figure out how you went from trying to be a movie star to being in sales.
So the funny piece of that is, as I mentioned, there was a little bit of correlation, a lot of correlation from the behind the scenes. The behind the scenes of theater and the acting world is where I was really good at. And it's definitely event planning. Now, making that transition and accepting the fact that I'm in sales 8 years later. No, just kidding. It took me maybe 6 months to actually accept that fact. And I jokingly say that to a lot of people. And now that it's been 8 years, I'm like, I guess I need to find a new little shtick. Not that it's a shtick, you know what I mean? But the transition over it, and I had been told, ironic enough, I had been told by one of my vendors who I had worked with for years on our printing opportunities for everyday work at IYI. And she used to say, Jamie, I need to get you into sales for my side. And I was like, I will never make it in sales. And so when I switched over and she called me and she was like, hey, by the way, you're doing what I said I needed you to do for me. This is not working out for me, but we'll let that go. And maybe I'll steal you another time. Right. The transition wasn't hard because it's real. It's me being me. It's me connecting with people. It's me having, yes, the ability of what I had learned and honed in on during school and theater of projecting and speaking and being outgoing. That's also a personality piece, though anybody can work on it and get better, I feel. It's all there. It's acting, but it's not acting. It's your presence. It's your ability to know what you're talking about, know what you're selling. And the nice thing is I'm doing what I had done just on the opposite side. So I, as a planner, planned all of those sides of things. I just now switched over and learned a little bit more about the AV side of it and the technology side, which, by the way, I'm not a huge technology fan. I mean, ironic enough, I quote unquote sell it, but it's the concept of it. I bring in the right team members to help me actually make it happen. It's not me. It's a joint effort. And it's still going around and meeting people and being the life of the party. The as I mentioned earlier with the yellow walls, the sunshine in a room. I got that nickname when I was a planner a long time ago. So I get excited. I love our industry. I love going to all the MPI events and meeting more and more people to where when I walk into a room, I know a lot of people, and that's kind of that's the sales, right? It's people buy people. Yes, they ultimately buy the service and what works out best for them and their needs and their wants. But it starts with humans, and you have to be real, and you have to be honest and vulnerable and open. And, we talked about this a little bit earlier of a potential time frame. And for you guys to know even more about me, yes, you learned of my theater days and my planning, and now my current situation of being a boater has been there since I was 5. So that's a no-brainer, except right now, because of course it's not boating season in Indiana.
I'm assuming though, like if I know you said you were in a tech, kind of like all about the tech side of it. And I want to get into the sales thing, because I think, being the light in the room and relationship building is so important. But I'm assuming, man, you could tie a mean knot if you had to for some rigging.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? I am not afraid to get my hands dirty. I remember the first couple of months of working with Bartha, and, we needed a few extra hands to help set up and strike an event. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. I'm in a dress, tie and cable. Of course. I have been known to do some LED wall on the Blue Jackets ice field, by the way. I got that under my belt too. So yes, so absolutely. And now I wanted to get back to that point of.
Well, I think the thing that I sort of stuck a pin in that I really want to get into is because, you are biz development professional, and we are on the Biz Dev Live show. And one of the nice things, when I get to talk to somebody that, sort of fits into this slice so nicely, is we get to deliver some incredible value to folks in terms of understanding networking. Now, one of the things, people might see me, they maybe see a show, and I've had this even before I saw a show, once I get to know you, I can be gregarious, I'm smiling, I'm animated. But one of the things that is most challenging to me, I will drive up to an event and I will be nervous, I will be hesitant, I will be anxious as I'm arriving in the parking lot, getting out of the car. This seems like so long ago, being in 2020, but as I was walking up to these networking events and understanding that, if there potentially wasn't somebody or a lot of people that I already knew in that room, that my job as a business owner for the last 9 years, I've been the CEO of Toth Event Staffing, still the CEO of Toth Event Staffing, all things a little hiatus, right? But, I was, salesperson number one, and I'm not necessarily what I would consider a sales guy, right? So coming into that room and introducing myself to people that I've never met before, that was like the most intimidating, awkward, challenging thing, even though I knew that it was something that I needed to do. Now, once, and I was lucky enough, MPI is a great place, my own little MPI Westfield chapter, as I would come in, the board members, they say, "Hi, Cameron, do you know so-and-so?" And that makes things so much easier. I love my board members for that. I love all the folks that I've been in the chapter with years for that, because we have that family community. I would go to events in the city, and I don't want to diss anybody, but those events were larger, and nobody was coming up to me and saying, "Hey, Cameron, and do you know so-and-so?" And so I would be in there, and I wouldn't go back to those events because there was
it's daunting.
Yeah. So being that light in the room, being the attraction, talk to us about that and what sort of lets you do what you do, because you're kind of forced into, like myself, in that situation. Like, all right, this is your job. You got to go meet people, create relationships. Talk to us about that. Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong. Just because I have this aura and this, excitement, 85% of the time, let's start there. Okay. And definitely maybe 95% when it comes straight with work focused. There are times that I have those moments, and I feel the same exact way that you just described. And I will say, sometimes you just don't have the right day, right? It's just not it's not the day to network. It's not the day to be that go get 'em, excitement, energy, focused person. If you're feeling that, especially if you're opting into attending an event that you don't know anybody, take someone take a fellow networker. I can't tell you how many people over the past 8 years, and technically even before that, I have still in my repertoire that I meet with on a regular basis. I have several networking buddies that, there could be crossover. There could be potential for us to have the same clients, or even competitors. I have competitor friends who sell and do the exact same thing as I do. We're all in it for the same reason. So I'll go back to that later, but find that buddy to go with you, have that person go with you. And then that is a surefire way for you to go, "Hey, do you know my friend Cameron? Let's talk, let's connect." It starts the process, and then it helps with the rest of the event. And then your confidence.
I want to just stick in here because I want to make this really accessible, because I think what you're saying has such tremendous value, but I didn't find my way. I got to say, I don't think I found my way into that until this year. And that's at 9 years, right, of owning and, successful 130 part-time staff, $600,000 in sales. I don't think I learned what you just said, like really, truly learned and felt it, because I always felt, you go to these self-improvement things, you go to events, you got a speaker, and they would, at the front of the room say, "You are who you surround yourself with. You are your network. You are," and I'm like, well, I have my friends and I have my family, but they're not really doing what I'm doing. And I don't know, I want somebody to go to the networking with me, but there's not really anybody outgoing that I know. And so what I sort of latched on, and the piece that I'm hearing is from you, and I just, really, this is something that just sort of landed for me in my 42nd year of life. The idea that you can ask another professional, hey, I'm a little nervous about going to events. Do you want to kind of hook up as a wing person or wing buddy or accountability partner? Do you want to go and do these events together? And yes, there's the possibility, and I understand this for anybody that's an introvert, and I definitely feel you. Yes, there's the possibility that somebody's going to say no, but having the bravery and the courage to get through that and ask that question is going to be so much more helpful to do exactly what you're talking about. You don't get that person without asking. And
Correct.
That's so key. And then it makes all those things easier, because I'm thinking, oh man, if I would have had that person, if I would have had Jamie rocking with me, I wouldn't have felt so. I would have been able to get out of the car. I know Jamie's with me. We're walking in. She knows some people. I know somebody. We're going to introduce each other. And at least if we don't know anybody and everybody's giving us the cold shoulder, at least we can talk to each other.
That's exactly right. And you know what? The better piece, especially for those introverts out there, an extrovert, a Jamie out there who can go in. Ask them, even if it's their client, if it's their planner, if it's their plan, you know what I mean? Like within the industry speaking, if it's another supplier, if it's another planner, there are so many synergies that we can do and have to make both of us benefit from the potential of meeting people. There's nothing, like, I cannot tell you. Okay, when I come home from a conference, I am so maxed out because of that energy for the days of the conference that I plug my earphones in and don't talk to anybody on the airplane. Okay, I say that with a caveat. Sometimes I do, but for the most part, I'm like, I don't want to meet another person. However, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. And it doesn't mean that that person that could be sitting next to you wouldn't be another person you could bring in with you for a networking piece. My point being, it doesn't hurt to meet anyone. Yes, take me. I'll take it. I'll take nice. I'll talk to a rock. Oscar, we definitely need to connect because I love this. But my point being is there's always something to get out of meeting someone else. Even if it's not for biz dev, let's talk this. Some business development people are only out there for the sale. And I get there are numbers to meet. There are quotas to make sure you measure, and you want to make the money and all the things. However, it will come full circle. And this is where I find myself in who I am and how I sell and what I do is no matter who I meet, I will follow up with, I will connect with on LinkedIn. I will stay in touch. Okay, 8 years of meeting so many people, I can't stay in touch as well as I want to. And I learned that this year, but I was able to follow up with a lot of people on all this time that we're not able to go out and meet new people. But my second point being is that it doesn't hurt to have someone next to you and with you, and you can take them. I'm so excited with all the conversation that's going on with Oscar, but why not? Why not take someone with you? And the other piece to it is if you know what you're going into and you don't know anyone, or you're not able to bring someone along, can you see the registry list? Can you reach out to people beforehand? I attended a lot of conferences pre-COVID, where if I had specific appointments, or if I could look up the individuals that were attending, reach out to them on LinkedIn first. Start there, get a familiar face. I can't tell you how many times when I would physically meet the person, even if it was a reverse trade show, that they would say, oh, you connected with me on LinkedIn. I'm so excited to meet you. I remember you doing that. It's another touch. It's another way of getting your name out there and making you feel comfortable when you're physically there. Having that research is key on the front end, but kind of taking it on a whim of you meet people for a reason, find out what that reason is.
I love that. And I think one of the key things for production companies and for associations and events in general is the first people that really, 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 really figure out the hybrid game, right? I'm thinking it's going to look like something like a 365 camera and some sort of monitor setup where it's low cost enough, $500-ish or something like that, where you can wire an equipment, a room where an attendee can kind of look around the room. You can have an in-person meeting and the attendee has enough control to look around the room, a 365 camera, you can see around. the first company that gets that low cost thing where they can send it out. I was talking to a guy the other day. They're going to be the Zoom of whatever that next hybrid time is going to be, because there's going to be a lot of people, I think, especially for the foreseeable future, that are going to be a little bit nervous. There's going to be some people that are rocking this virtual thing that are like, nope, I'm going to just, I already hear it from Master Connections or Master Networks, an organization that I'm a part of, that, there's like, well, this thing is working out pretty well. If we go back to live, maybe not everybody's going to show up, and we're going to lose the additional attendance we're getting to these weekly meetings because people don't want to drive. Now they're attending from farther away because we have this great meeting over here, and this is more accessible to people. You can have somebody logging in from another country, and there might be value to the businesses in the room as increasingly business goes online and businesses become accessible to other people. Yeah.
Absolutely. I have so many points to talk on that. Yes, virtually.
You're like,
I know I need to talk faster and more and all that. Virtually, there is an opportunity to reach bigger and wider spans. Absolutely. As a Kiwanian member, we're able to bring in speakers that we wouldn't be able to bring in on those Thursday lunches. And looking into the future of, can we do for hybrid? Is it affordable? Because guys, technology is not cheap. It's not going to get cheaper. It's actually going to get more expensive when it comes to hybrid, because you're looking at basically two different events. And I want to put that out there. As a meeting planner, is this an opportunity to bring in more jobs, since all of my friends, not all of them, but lots of my friends have been furloughed or, laid off, or the industry is up and down, but different opportunities are out there. And why wouldn't you, as a company, as an organization, as a group of people trying to get your message out, start with, what are you trying to get out? How are you trying to get out there? And is there an opportunity to have two different events? So yes, it's a hybrid, but you have an online component and you have a virtual component. Do you want them to be the exact same, or do you want to create two different experiences? Have two different planners plan those events, coordinating together, of course, sharing some of the information on both areas and experiences. But again, growth, the potential to be creative, the potential to change the industry as we see it and move forward. Now, you just literally said the reverse of what I was saying when I was a planner and technology came in and we were all worried that no one will attend the event, right? We talked about, if we bring in the virtual component, no one's, it's not going to work. Now you're flipping it on its head, and that may be the case. That may be the case where that piece of that event is better virtually and people aren't going to be able to take it. So mix it up. Have opportunities to do both. You don't have to do one or the other. You don't have to do both, but you could change your messaging. I mean, that's where, when I go back to the education of planners and teaching them, what are you trying to do? It's just like when we used to set our budget back in the day of, how do we want to make this happen? And you work backwards, start with the end result and work backwards to start where you need to start and get creative with what you were actually trying to get out and the message you're trying to do. It can be different, and it can have a new look to it, that yes, you're going to have to change your budgets. Yes, you're going to allocate more to the AV fundraise, right? We've all been fundraising, even as a planner. Of course, that was a huge part for a nonprofit, but also get their input too, right? The stakeholders are how you're going to get your funds. What's going to be best for them? Where's the biz dev, and where's the opportunity to meet the needs of that?
I love this line, because I think that this is going to be a very contentious piece, right? In terms of who gets to say, who has the best input, because sometimes the consumer, as much as we want to value folks, I wish I could, for the life of me, remember. I just thought of something. Oh, it was with, I think, Southwest Airlines was what they asked their customers. And it was interesting to me. I listened to this financial podcast, shout out to Robin Hood Snacks Daily. So on there, they asked their customers who would be comfortable or willing to get on a Boeing 737 MAX, the plane that had all the issues and was grounded.
Oh, right.
Now, I'm just thinking about this, because I very few times, I don't know how you feel about it, but I assume that the plane that I'm getting on is safe, knock on wood. I don't think about it. And I really very rarely think about, and I'm sure there's people that are like completely on the other side of this, where they're like, I know what plane I'm riding on, like, very much like I'm not dying on a plane. But, I understand the statistics. I understand it's very unlikely that I'm going to die on a plane. So I don't think about the plane that I'm getting on. But if you asked me the question, do I want to ride on a 737? Well, I think I'm probably going to say no, because of the bad press that they've received. Their point in that whole thing was change the name and get rid of the negative
cruise lines
done for many businesses, right? But I think we're going to be in a situation very much like that, as we're asking people, well, do you want to attend virtually, or do you want to, the hybrid thing? And, you have to be very careful about the bias that people are going to have as these questions. So you got to find really creative ways, I think, as you ask your attendees what they want, because if you say, do you want hybrid or do you want virtual? I think that's going to be a very emotional decision versus, hey, do you want this kind of experience without it being tied to a technology or a platform specifically? What's the experience that you're looking for, and letting people weigh in there? What's the lifestyle you want to have, versus how much money you want to make or something like that, right?
Absolutely. It's the event design canvas. It's looking at it as, like I said, as a whole, and finding out, take the world, take no money, no constraints, and create that event that you really want, and then dial it back. How can you make it happen? And I think that's the unique way of being able to look at it right now. And we have the time and test it. Do a small event, test it out, and again, if you're just trying to get information out there and you're just strictly wanting people to learn, and that's Zoom webinar is out there, and it's the most cost-effective way. However, if, like you said, if you want to have an experience, you got to look at it. You got to get creative, and you need to find the partners that can help you do that. But don't start with an end product. That's why I didn't come out here and say, oh, this is our platform, and this is what we use, and this is who we are and what we do. No. We go with the clients first and start with what they're trying to accomplish. What do you want your attendees to get out of that event, out of that experience, out of that way of coming back the next year, or doing things differently, or just being innovative? Why wouldn't you want to?
I love the idea, from the production company side, and this is something I love people that are viewing this, whether now or later, to sort of chime in on this and see what they've sort of done or seen with the virtual events thing. But there's things that we're not meeting in person, and going forward into 2021, there's going to be a lot of things for a lot of different reasons. The population of, or the metrics of that population, right? Not being comfortable, or whatever the case may be, right? There's going to be lots of reasons that people don't choose to meet live. We just
and I just want to chime in there too, because I meant to make this point too. Forecasting for down the road, no one knows.
Yeah.
Right? We don't know. So the comfortable nature of anyone is going to be in flux. I
look at it like this. What do I know? I know that very much like similar to after 2002 SARS epidemic in Hong Kong, more people in the US are going to be wearing masks, right? Now, maybe I'm full of BS on that, but I'm thinking that's going to be something that's definitely going to happen. And I don't think that's looking into a crystal ball. I think that's looking at human behavior, looking at the idea that people are going to be so much more sensitive moving forward about, you're talking about people that with the immuno challenges, people that have had people die in their families, the emotional elements to it. It only takes like 6 weeks to form a habit. How long have we been in this, right? So these habits will have been formed. And so we're going to be dealing with a new kind of outlook on the world. So one of the things that's really interesting to me about events, and to your point, in looking forward, because we can't predict what's going to happen, but we know that human behavior is what it is. People are on their phone more than ever. People consume content from mobile. So what are you doing that's crisp? Simple things from a production aspect. And I'd love to sort of get your, as soon as I finish my diatribe here on, things like PowerPoint and not more than 6 words. And then even then, like, because somebody's going to be looking at this on a screen on their phone, should you even have words on your slides, or should it be a visual and you're telling the story? And how important is your audio? And then all that stuff, which I think is important for any business, because right now, if I said it once, I've said 1,000 times on this program, every company is now a media company. With the way social media can change your business, there's no reason not to be on social media. Every company can benefit from the online ability to be your own bullhorn and shout from the mountaintops and create energy around your brand and product and education, all that jazz. So this piece of it, which I think is so critical. All right. Two things, and I'm going to let you go. But
yeah.
So Runbrook Events, company I work with, they did a bat mitzvah recently, and so they did set design in this girl's house. So first you say, oh my goodness, bat mitzvah during a pandemic, huge challenge. They set up a set with flowers for the name in brick behind her, and she's going to be able to use that over and over and over again. Beautiful, amazing. I would be excited to have that in my house. I don't know if you'd be excited, but I think it would be amazing. Take that and understand that that's the way the world is moving. Reusable.
Yes.
I'm going to create a set. Okay, we're going to do this production at this event. We're getting headshots and multiple photos of everybody to use in their social media. This is the value of putting together a production, putting the lights up, getting the photographer in place, because now we can use all of this media moving forward. I just recently did a headshot shoot so I can do all the different poses on the thumbnails for YouTube. Sorry, I'm gonna let you go.
No, you're good. You're good. Absolutely. Having that background piece. I mean, that's something, when you said that, I immediately went to, we've done that for a long time for a lot of our clients, as long as you don't date it, which is perfect. I mean, who isn't in here for this sustainability? And unfortunately, there are some elements of what's happened this year that, we can't be as sustainable, but there are, or that we haven't been sustainable, but there are ways to ramp that back up, because of course it's our planet, it's our world. We want to make sure that we keep it around for our kids and our grandkids and their grandkids. So repurposing is huge. It is an opportunity to one-time cost that you can repurpose. And in our case, working with a company that can house it. So if they have a warehouse, then you don't have to worry about it. Or if you need it in your office, you can repurpose it again. And I'll go back to the point of, technology and the slide decks and the short attention spans and the visuals. So death by PowerPoint is definitely an old term, and we continue to kill people by PowerPoint. Pictures, as they say, pictures are worth 1,000 words, and videos are huge. Quick clips catch their attention. It's that, that quick, immediate grasping of attention, but then maintaining it by few words, lots of movement, lots of visual, because of where we are as humans and how quickly we're ready to move on to the next thing. And cause blame of social media, it is what it is, and we have to embrace it and use it to our advantages to get the right thing, get the people in, get them to see it, and have them learn more from us. But also going back to that connection, events are not gone. They're not. Face-to-face is wanted now more than ever. I mean, that's unfortunately, in my opinion, why the struggle is where we are and why we're back to the March timeframe. People are tired of being quarantined. People are tired of being in their homes and on virtual, and the fatigue virtual. so we will meet again. And
Well, the thing that I love is that there's huge opportunity. I've met more people over the last 8 months. Now, am I sick of seeing my walls? am I looking at like Instagram photos and just drooling at the mouth because I see, somebody traveling or foreign destinations? Absolutely. But I've met more people over the last 8 months than I've probably met over the last 3 or 4 years. There are deep business connections, folks that are going to take me forward. And I'm going to say this one last thing, and then I'm shut up just because I'm so passionate about this stuff, is that, 2021, the world will open up. The vaccine is coming, and 2022 looks amazing for live events. I mean, just freaking amazing. So put in the groundwork now, be prepared, get the plans in place, the systems and processes for picking up the phones, because the competition is going to drop the ball. And then they're going to call Jamie because she's taking care of business and she's taking care of her customers and she's meeting people and has the relationships in place to handle the business that's going to come, because it's going to get very, very busy for a lot of people. Think about reunions, the rescheduled weddings. That's just going to be so much event work. And so and because we're in the events industry, guess what? The wedding production company uses the same staff as the TV production company, as the same company as the corporate social events company. So everybody's time is going to be at a premium. And if you're not prepared for it, ooh, baby. So I'm going to leave that and make sure you get in touch with Jamie. I want to make sure that, Jamie, you let everybody know how to get in touch with you. Your LinkedIn address is down below.
Perfect.
Off to the side if you're on Facebook. And I want people to get in touch with you, but I want you to let people know who should be getting in touch with you, the types of connections that you want to make, and the types of events that you specialize in, some of the things that you would love to be doing for people. And then I'll let you say goodbye, and then we'll play the Biz Dev theme off into the sunset here.
Sounds good. Thank you, Cameron. Yes. Jamie, and by the way, JAIME, I was named after the Bionic Woman. So if you spell my name incorrectly, you will not get my email, but it's jamie@bartha.com is the best way. But first and foremost, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. It currently is tied to both that and my personal email. So you can't not find me at jamietheresa@gmail.com as well. My number's out there, and you're welcome to reach out to me there. I'm on social media. Everything is Jamie Theresa. And as far as who I want to hear from right now, anybody and everybody that wants to work with a virtual aspect of an event. We are more of a large company in the sense of larger productions. So the budgets are usually higher, but because it's virtual, we can do a little bit less, which is nice. But as it goes into hybrid, anybody from corporations, associations, direct selling companies, religious groups, universities, you name it. We work with those that want to work with us and grow with us as a company, because the whole point is to have the partnership. And that's why we've made it for 75 years come next year. So thank you very much. This has been a pleasure.
Jamie. You're awesome, Jamie. Thank you so much. Say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.